You know what would make that better? A cup of white cane coffee.
Wow, that really is great coffee.
White cane coffee, because every cup makes a difference.
Here at Casella, we make temporary dumpster rental easy, offering services that are perfect for construction, remodeling, special events, or other short-term projects. Casella dumpsters are available in a wide range of sizes to fit any job. Our dedicated customer service team will help you choose the right size container and service level for your project and schedule hassle-free removal based on your specific needs. The right size dumpster, when you want it, where you want it, removed when you say so.
Good morning. Welcome into the cafe as White Cane Coffee presents Coffee and a Conversation. Brian Hagler with you on your daily local. Got myself a fresh cup of Dragon's Roast this morning. Stop on in, get yourself a fresh cup, get it one of these special laser engraved tumblers, get it filled with your purchase. When you bring it back, get 50% off your refill as part of the White Cane Coffee Mug Club. While you're here, you can pick up maybe a Long John or a Danish. Breakfast burrito is great. And stop in around lunchtime. Soup and sandwich is now available at the White Cane Coffee Cafe as well. If you can't make it down here to the plaza across from Tops, that's not a problem. White Cane's available on DoorDash. Just place your order, have your favorites delivered right to your door. You can also order your favorite roast or brew at home online at whitecanecoffee.com. This is Coffee and a Conversation. Our special guest this week, Beth Pellegrino. Thank you so much for taking some time to chat with me today. And it's been quite a start to the year for you.
It really has. Thanks for letting me join you.
Yeah. And so with today, Saturday, being Youth Mentored Fishing Day, I think I said that right.
I think so.
You just started a new Facebook page. You're looking to transition that eventually into a nonprofit, Hooked on Fishing, Warren County. How did all of that come about?
You know, that's a really great question, and there's a few pieces to it. My oldest son, Anthony, is obsessed with fishing. From the moment he wakes up to the moment he goes to sleep, that's what we hear about is fishing, fishing, fishing.
I find that so hard to believe that a boy in your family is really obsessed with fishing.
But fishing over hunting for him, which is a little bit different than some of his uncles. But fishing has been his center, and as I tried to find, areas to get him involved, I saw a gap in the community.
Yeah.
There's, youth fishing days, there's youth fishing events around us, but there's nothing that's ongoing to create the community. And then when the PA Wilds brought in the Wilds Are Working Group, we were helping to host some of the families, and one of them had a son named Oliver, and Oliver had never been fishing. And so we took Oliver and his mom up to Hatch on the catch and release pond. And Anthony taught Oliver how to fish and got him to catch his first fish.
Nice.
And as LaDonna and I were sitting there talking, we were saying, wow, what an amazing sight to see two kids, no tablets, out having fun with these giant smiles on their face. And I thought, how do we create this into a community and make it more of a community event? So as I started kind of putting my feelers out there of like who might want to be involved in this, Tyler Briggs, who's a fly fisherman in the area, he and I connected, and he wanted to help join this whole cause.
Awesome.
So now I have a business partner, and he and I are working on how do we create this event. And he's gone in and done some different things and brought back ideas like, hey, let's just get kids together, have a cookout, get some hot dogs in the grills. And we don't want parents that maybe aren't as involved in fishing or the outdoors to be afraid to get their kids into it. So, like my grandfather taught me how to fish. I have brothers that fish. My dad fishes. I can tie the fisherman's knot, but I'm not, beyond a certain level, I don't know what I'm doing. So I think about other moms that might be in the same situation where it's how do we help them learn those things so that they can bring their kids out or those kids to develop those bonds early. Long term, we would love to see a high school fishing team maybe start up. College bass fishing is one of the fastest growing college sports right now. So if we can get even regionally, whether it's working with Kane or some people out in Bradford or wherever to create this so that our kids could grow into a potential high school fishing team, I think would be incredible.
Yeah. Well, and, you talk about the moms and getting them involved and, growing up as a child of a single mother, like sports were, your traditional, sports and baseball and football and stuff was no problem, but because she hadn't grown up as an outdoor enthusiast, it was, hey, I'd like to try fishing or I'd like to try hunting. And it's like, she didn't even know where to begin. And so having a resource like this, for people in the community to just even go, where do I start?
Or I don't have the equipment.
Right.
You know, some of the fishing things can get a little pricey. So hey, if you want to come test it out, we'll have poles ready. You know, we'll help teach you how to use them, how to cast them. Even I learned how to fly fish in a day. Tyler taught me. We joked that if he could teach me, he could teach kids.
Yeah.
And so within a day, I only caught a few trees, and I did catch a fish. So I feel like
tree to
that's
fish
a win.
ratio maybe like 4 to 1.
Hey, we're not going to get into that this morning. No, I actually really enjoyed it, and that's a whole different ballgame.
Right.
So the concept is, you know, we kind of start small, but we would love to grow into even educating the different types of fish, the species, what kind of water temperatures you need, what the levels of the river mean, even as far as like a safety fishing or a fishing safety class would be really great, because our river can be a little bit dangerous here.
Yeah, it can. Yeah.
You know, I grew up on the west end of Warren. I think that was the greatest neighborhood to grow up in my generation. And we were on that river all the time. But my parents preached to us the safety and what to do and not to go swimming in the river and what undertows were and all those things. So, you know, we don't want to discount that either. And we want to help these kids understand and respect our waterways.
Well, yeah, I mean, you see, you know, frequently throughout the summer that, you know, they're calling out for water rescue because somebody got in, you know, over their head. No pun intended, right? But and sometimes literally, right? Like because they just don't understand just how powerful a force that river can be, and even the Conowongo at times, you know, after some of those heavy rains,
absolutely,
it can get moving.
So from a safety aspect all the way to what does that do to fishing the river? Yeah. And we have such amazing resources in our area that are, you know, sometimes forgotten about, especially by those that grew up here. You know, we're so used to having it that, you know, I forgot how amazing it is to go sit on the river and cast lines in until I brought my kids back into it. So, you know, trying to bring the love to the area too.
Right. And I would think there'd be, you know, just a plethora of businesses and organizations that would want to be ready to, you know, jump in feet first, right? I'm going to get as many of these puns in as possible. I'm just fair warning right now. I'm in full on dad joke mode. So
I'm right here for it.
But, you know, I mean, just with the forest and, you know, like Chapman State Park and some of the orgs like AO and stuff like that I would think would want to be, hey, let's get this in and you know, make this as robust a group and an organization as we can.
We have had so many offers for people helping us that it's been honestly overwhelming in such a positive way. And I'm very grateful to be a board member for the PA Wilds. Yeah. So, you know, as I was sitting in board meetings, I was picking other board members' brains a little bit and getting introductions. And, you know, there's things that nobody realizes, like our state has a fishing education program. And so getting connected with those folks and being able to talk through what they might be able to help out with. But I've had so many local fishermen reach out and say, how can I help? Yeah. Can we help get kids out on boats? Yeah. Can I help can I help you with, you know, helping to train them how to do things and teach them how to do things? Yeah. And it's been amazing. So as we get further along in our process of setting this up, that's when we'll really start to go, okay, here's how you can help.
Right. Well, yeah. And I mean, because the fishing community, right? I mean, they are very passionate about fishing the waters, but for the most part, doing it in a way that maintains the waterway and maintains the balance of the ecosystem. And I think sometimes, you know, when you just talk about, oh, we're going to go fishing, right? You don't think about the fact that every, you know, fish that you take out of a stream or, you know, every time you're stepping in there, like there's potential for you to drastically change an ecosystem if you're not careful and if you don't know what you're doing.
Absolutely. And that's stuff that I'm still learning. Yeah. You know, as we go through this process, but the fishermen around here are very knowledgeable about that and they want to respect the fish. Yeah. And I've taken my kids on a couple of charters and met some really great people, and all of them cover that. Yeah. Respecting the fish, respecting your waterways, understanding what you're doing. So you do leave it in better shape than when you got to it.
Yeah. And that's because we gotta, you know, if this is going to be, and it seems really like the push is to let's make these outdoor recreation areas our kind of calling card.
Absolutely.
And if we're going to do that, we got to take care of it because it is a finite resource if you don't treat it properly.
Absolutely. And we have so many hidden gems here. And we talk about our our trails and, the biking places that we can go, like trails at Jake's Rocks. But that waterway, to me, is such a draw for people to come into, whether it's kayaking and canoeing or fishing, or honestly just sitting and having a picnic.
Right.
Our river is absolutely gorgeous. And so bringing something that we can focus on that waterway, I think, is important. But to your point, we also have Chapman State Park.
Yeah.
We have streams. That catch and release pond at Hatch Run is a great place.
Yeah.
Especially for beginners. I'll bring my kids up there and tie up some poles and I'll run my dog.
Yeah, right, yeah.
I have a 2-year-old German short hair pointer that loves that place.
I'm sure, right?
Because he can run free,
Yeah.
So it's finding any of those. I mean, we do make trips to Chautauqua Lake.
Yeah.
I think Chautauqua Lake is a great place again, especially for beginners. You can fish off docks.
Right.
We've met other kids out there that also helped inspire this, because you watch these kids that are into fishing and they're very much like adults.
Yeah.
They respect the sport. They are very, very passionate, and they share and they tell stories and they talk like they've known each other for years. And I think that's a really powerful thing to put into our youth.
And it doesn't take long for that to happen, right? Like, it's not
within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Kids are great.
Right, yeah. Which is, I mean, it's part of the power of youth, but again, like you said, it's part of the draw of the sport is
Absolutely.
that it can hook you and reel you right in, right? See, so very well. You didn't even react to that. But
semi used to
right,
dad jokes.
But again, like you said, it's an opportunity to get kids off the phones and tablets and stuff and get them outdoors and get them to understand how valuable
Absolutely
this resource is for our community.
And I've already had people reach out and say, hey, when are you going to start an archery club? Hey, when are you going to start a hunting club? And I said, let's do one at a time here.
Yeah.
But there are other people in the community that have interest,
I mean,
you could spin off.
you might know a couple people who'd be interested in a hunting club, especially.
I
right?
might.
And so for people to find out more information, right? Hooked on Fishing Warren County on Facebook.
Find us on Facebook. We just put out an Instagram as well. There'll be more information coming. Get out on Saturday for Youth Trout Day for sure. Yeah. There'll be lots of families out there. We were hoping to get an event together, but just not ready with the timing yet. So next year we'll be involved with Youth Trout Day.
something to look forward to, right? For 2025. Right. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
No,
I know.
Yeah, that's 20. As a 2000 graduate, that's going to be a difficult one to swallow, I think.
I think so too. Yeah. Something about that round 5 number. That's.
Well, and then speaking of graduates, you was also recently announced that you're going to be the commencement speaker for the Northern Pennsylvania Regional College commencement. And first of all, congratulations!
Thank you very much. It's really exciting.
So what was kind of your first thought when they reached out to you and said, hey, would you want to do this?
My first thought was, wow, what an honor. And I was trying to think of ways that I could fit that role and inspire people and, do all of those things, and thinking about some of the little things that have happened within the last year. Just, we've been in the news a lot and had some cool things going on in our household. So, but just gratitude. To me, it was gratitude and thankful to have the opportunity to inspire people, to maybe give them something to think about going into their future. I've been very blessed in my life to have phenomenal mentors. I'm called mentors and sponsors. So mentors, people that will challenge you and help you grow. And kind of that sponsor role is really how somebody highlights your work and shows how well that you're doing. So I've had both of those. And I think once you have a really good mentor, you want to do that for other people. So this is kind of like that, just in a broader audience. Right.
Well, and, I'm thinking back to, my own commencement, and we both had a little variation of the same story, but, there's times where, commencement speakers can be very, very memorable.
Yes.
And sometimes in a good way and sometimes in a not so good way. As a member of the concert band in high school, I got to sit through 4 high school commencement ceremonies. And most of them were,
I feel like I need you to read my speech now.
But there's one that stands out, and it stands out because we sat there for an hour and a half waiting for this person to stop talking. I mean, after 20 minutes, it's time to go, right?
Yes. To the point.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go on for an hour and a half.
There
I
you
can
go.
guarantee
See?
you that.
Yeah.
When I sat down to think about what do I really want to say, I could have gone in a lot of different directions. And, my day job is human resources. So I'm always partial to, okay, do I sit down and talk about the job market?
Right.
Do I talk about, what you should be doing to help your future in that regard? And I did go a totally different direction. I will tell you that. Without spoiling.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no spoilers, right?
My topics completely.
Yeah.
But, personally, I have learned so much about growth as a person wrapped into work. One of my favorite books is A Man's Search for Meaning. It's actually a Holocaust story, but it's about, knowing yourself and who you truly are to get through life. And I think there's a lot of power for that.
Yeah.
So as I'm talking to these graduates, I hope that they can see that really the future is what they want it to be,
right.
That they get to make it, and that, their own internal optimism, not just being happy all the time, but understanding that the journey is the best part.
Yeah.
Really, it's that journey, and there's going to be ups and downs, but knowing that the end is going to be where you want to really be, and going through that journey with a positive attitude can change all of your outlook and who you are as a person. So I am not going to go the HR route. I'm going to go more of the, hey, here's some really cool learnings that you can think about as you're figuring out what your next chapter is. And I hope that my story of, my career path can inspire people to want to come back to the area too.
Yeah.
Stay in the area, come back to the area. I think that's really important when we talk about what our region, not even just Warren County, but what our region's going through with population. It's more than just attracting people. We have to keep the people that are here.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of opportunities. You just have to know where to look and how to network. So I'm hoping through this, I can also inspire them to want to stay here because that college is awesome. And they've done such a great job for making sure they could get their education local.
Yeah.
So now the next step would be to keep them here for employment and to build their lives.
Well, and does the approach change based on the audience, right? Like this isn't what people would consider a traditional, 4-year right out of high school.
Sure.
It skews a little bit more towards adult learners and people going back for things. And, so it's not, you can't just give the canned, the future of America and you're counting on it. Right. Yeah. Because there
is some of that.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. But it's not that. And my educational background, a lot of people think with my job that I have an MBA, and I don't. Yeah. I have a bachelor's degree from Penn State Barron in marketing, which Penn State Barron is an amazing school, and I learned a lot there. But I went the route similar to these students of, after I graduated from college and got into the workforce, I did the buildable credentials. So now I have certifications from Cornell. I'm a certified integrative health coach from Duke University. I've got certifications from the Center for Creative Leadership. So I sort of built my career path. And I joke because most human resource professionals are like me. We don't think we're going into HR. Right. And we sort of just fall into it. And here I am. And every day I tell myself, don't be a Toby Flenderson, so part of that is by going through a different educational route, and I think that the graduates are in a very similar place to your point where, maybe they started out thinking they were going to do something different, and now they have these buildable credentials that the college provides that is going to take them into the career path that they want.
So I have to ask, because it's still March. With all the different certificates and stuff from does it pull at you when you go to fill out a March Madness bracket and you don't know who to root for? Or?
No, I'm always a Penn State girl at heart. I will tell you, my boys Anthony and Luca have fallen in love with West Virginia. Because one of their uncles, my brother Nick, taught at WVU, and he lives down there, and we've gone to visit. And you talk about outdoor recreation. Oh yeah, West Virginia outdoor recreation is amazing too. So the kids have followed in Uncle Nick's footsteps a little bit. But no, filling out my bracket, I still stuck to my guns. It's, I don't consider any of that too much. But I will tell you, we're more baseball fans. So we were down at spring training rather than worrying about our bracket last week.
You can check that on your phone, right?
Exactly.
Well, and and that kind of leads into the other at the start of the year, right? I mean, it's you in sports, and all of a sudden you're everywhere.
We are everywhere.
Thanks to one little Facebook post about essentially going to the opposing team stadium and not being murdered.
Yeah,
I mean,
and it's these tickets were a gift. Yeah. And it was funny because originally they were going to go. They saw the weather.
Yes.
They backed it.
So for context, this was the Steelers
Bills game
in Buffalo when there was like 8 million feet of snow. And
so to tell the whole story, I actually had gotten up and put them in the car and basically packed an emergency trunk because I thought the game was going to be played on time, right?
Right. Yeah.
So we were going to go out Saturday, go to the game Sunday, come home Monday.
Yeah. So much for that.
I mean, everything from I had portable bonfires, electric tea kettles in case we got stuck in a hotel to make ramen noodles.
Right.
I had brooms, I had shovels. I mean, I looked like I was going into the Arctic, and we went
to the North Pole.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
We went to drop my dog off at Grandma and Grandpa's, and then the phone rang and that they moved it. So we didn't make it very far in our winter expedition. So we ended up just going out Monday, and I will tell you, it was an adventure.
Yeah.
There was so much snow, and the seats were covered, but truly everybody was so nice to us.
Yeah.
And to your point, I thought I would get murdered. I had several people go, "Are you crazy?
Mm-hmm.
You're taking 2 kids by yourself into the Bills."
Yeah.
And they're like, "What are you wearing? Are you going to wear your Steelers jersey?"
Yeah.
And like, the kids wore their hats.
Right, yeah.
It's going to mess with kids, right?
Yeah.
But a couple comments here, there, nothing bad. But when I got home, I was just so grateful of how people treated us that I thought I had to at least get it out there. And there were people locally that said, "Hey, park here."
Right.
Or do this. And I wanted to make sure they knew we had so much help and so much fun through the process.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went on a work trip. And when I was driving home, I hit Penfield and finally had cell service and get gas. And I looked down and I actually thought my phone broke. So the reels of notifications on my phone, and then I got a phone call and, hey Beth, you're all over Twitter. I'm like, I don't have Twitter.
It's not me. I swear I didn't. Whatever they said.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not on Twitter. And they sent me a screenshot. And it just was everywhere, like overnight. But it was such a cool experience for me and my kids because it was a positive post.
Yeah.
Being grateful for the fans. And I know some people have had very poor experience in Buffalo, but ours was not that at all. So
I think that's generally speaking, right? Wherever you go, somebody's going to have a great time, and there's going to be people who don't have a great time.
Yeah.
And I think that's I don't think it's just, necessarily solely related to football.
No.
The PNC Park, we were talking about before we went on the air, beautiful ballpark, but I'm sure there's people that have gone down there and just not either, due to unfamiliarity or, they came across that bridge and didn't realize you had 0.2 seconds to decide which exit you're going to take, right? But you hear so much about the negative.
You do.
Like everybody, the second something bad happens to somebody, right? I got to tell everybody. But then the good stuff kind of just gets, oh yeah, I had a good time.
Right.
Right. And
there needs to be more good.
Yeah. And I think that was part of what made your post so appealing to people, was that it was like, oh wow, this is somebody, from an opposing fan base came to our stadium and talked about how great the people were.
Right.
And you just don't see that
anymore. And we did some news interviews, and I'll say the same thing I said in the one from Pittsburgh, that I truly do believe that 99% of people are good people.
Yeah.
And that 1% just creates so much noise, and that's all people talk about. Mm-hmm. But I will tell you, because, we just came back from Florida doing a long weekend, and we went and did Pirates spring training baseball, which was amazing. but the kids and I were talking on the flight home that if you make the effort to speak positively to people, they reciprocate.
Yeah.
And they're not used to it. So even when we were in Florida, like we met some amazing people. And, I think the experience was so positive because we treated them well.
Right.
If you're standing in line at an airport waiting for coffee at 4 a.m,
yeah.
if you talk to the guy behind you about where they're going and, how they enjoyed their trip, they're going to reciprocate.
Yeah.
So there are places where you need to be cautious, and there are people that, aren't always so nice. But for the most part, what you put out in the world is what you get back. So I'm a big believer in pushing that positivity.
Yeah. Well, and that's, I mean, I went to State College for the Penn State football game the week, after all the Sandusky stuff broke and Paterno got fired, and but there was, and I've been down there for a number of games,
sure,
and never, it was surreal because it was quiet, right, it just wasn't that same, and not that I expected it would be, but the Nebraska fans who came into town, I thought going in we're just gonna be relentless, right, and it ended up, people sitting in the row in front of us had sold their ticket. They were season ticket holders, and they had sold all their tickets to Nebraska fans. So the entire row in front of where I was sitting was all Nebraska fans. But the entire game, if we weren't talking about something that was going on the field, was all just like, how are you feeling? How are you, internalizing all of this and stuff, and there was an opportunity there where they could have just piled on.
Yeah.
And they didn't.
Yeah.
And,
it's more than sports.
Yeah, it is. But I think that's also part of, the beauty of sport is that it has that ability, like we were talking about with the fishing, right?
Yeah.
It has that ability to bring people together,
Exactly,
even when they're on opposite sides.
Yeah. Yeah, and I now have an open invitation from Bills fans to join the Mafia.
There you go.
They, so many reached out and said, "Hey, come tailgate with us next year." I do. We're Steeler fans through and through, and I do need to get them to Acrisure Stadium next year. But we have all these open invitations because people were so, to your point, thankful to hear something positive.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of power in it.
Oh, absolutely. So talk about, this is everybody talks about, something went viral, right? Right. But what was that whirlwind like of just from the moment that you open your phone and you've got 6,000 notifications to, people reaching out for interviews and things like that.
Yeah. And it's going viral, and I didn't know exactly what that meant until it happened.
Yeah.
But I think one of the posts on the Bills site had like 38,000 reactions.
Oh.
And I went, what do you do with that? Like everybody's literally seeing my face and this post I wrote, but you do ride a high.
Right.
And I watched it with my kids in particular. They were so excited. And then you see the power of social media and what it does to people, because when it starts to dip, that letdown is just as much. And working in human resources, I kind of understand that from a psychological standpoint of the dopamine rise, the dopamine release. And I can understand and appreciate better now how people get addicted to that.
Oh yeah.
After going through it, I really understand it.
Well, I think that so much is what leads to a lot of the nonsense and the misinformation and stuff that we see on social media.
Trying to get that high again.
Right. Yeah. Because it's not like the intent for the most part isn't necessarily to hurt somebody else or put somebody else out there, but they had that one, and then it came down, and then it's like, oh, I got to do something else to get back up there again. And
and I have a very good friend who's in risk management, and I called him and I said, what do I do? Because you get people that are trying to then find you on LinkedIn, people that are trying to find you on Instagram, and I had privacy settings set up, so thankfully, they couldn't just walk in.
Yeah.
And we, the two of us were talking, and we said, it's not that you want to hide. It's just that you don't want to share everything. Right. And especially with kids. Yeah. So, those people that are out there trying to be influencers and posting things around their kids. I do post stuff about my kids. Yeah. And it's happy things, it's adventuring. But I'm very cautious because anything you put out there
Right.
is out there forever.
Yeah.
Whether you delete it or not,
Yep.
it's somewhere on the internet.
The internet is forever.
Excuse me. It is. So, you know, part of that whole going viral thing was understanding, okay, what are the privacy settings I need to now set up?
Yeah.
I still have people reaching out to me.
Okay.
And, you know,
Yeah.
just randomly,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, how are you doing? You're the Steeler fan mom. And I'm
Right.
like, I am. And, you know, and I compare it, you'll appreciate this. I went viral before going viral was a thing when I was younger. I killed the 9th largest turkey in the state of Pennsylvania.
Nice.
And I was all over,
Right.
you know, newspapers and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like before there was social
Right.
media, I joke, I said, that's like my dad's proudest moment of me ever.
Right.
And I remember playing softball for Penn State Barron and
Yeah.
having an umpire go, oh my God, you're the turkey girl.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh
Yeah.
God, I am the turkey
Yeah.
girl. So like, you know, I had that experience. So now
Yeah.
even going into Wegmans and Lakewood,
Right.
it's, oh, you're the Steeler fan.
So okay. So
That's
which is better? Would you rather be turkey girl or Steeler mom?
And, you know, I embrace them both. That works great, but if
Yeah.
I'm gonna embrace them, I'm gonna embrace them both. But it is something really cool
Yeah.
to have people piece that together, because you know what, in my mind, if I'm known as the Steeler fan mom when I walk
Right.
in somewhere, somebody is then reminded about the positivity.
Right. Yeah.
And so maybe they're gonna pay it forward.
Yeah.
You know, that's my hope. And when, you know, people talk about, oh, you're doing it for likes, you're doing it for this, that's not the case.
Right.
Honestly, and I've said this from the beginning with the news interviews, if our post can inspire another fan base to treat an opposing fan well, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
You know, especially with bringing kids into a stadium.
Absolutely.
You know, like that, I will fully admit now, I probably was crazy for doing it. And if I would not have had the people in the aisleways picking the kids up and up the stairs, I don't know that we'd have made it out of it.
Right.
I'm in full honesty. Like it was not a kid-friendly place to be at that moment.
Well, I mean, you know, and you saw videos of people, you know, trying to get to their seats, right? Like, because nobody was really sitting down because you couldn't, right? And
you couldn't even take, and we got a bottle of water and pizza. The kids couldn't take their gloves off because their hands got too cold to eat the pizza. And the bottle of water froze within seconds.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it wasn't like, you know, 15 minutes later, we had a frozen bottle of water. It was like frosting and you're like breaking it up to take a drink. It was intense.
Yeah.
But
so
super fun.
Yeah. But so now, having gone through all of that, would you go back under similar circumstances?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And my boys, Anthony and Luca, walked away with the memories of the game, but they walked away understanding what it's like to be treated well by an opposing fan. So, you know, they'll do the same for other people.
Right.
And I think that that's an invaluable lesson.
Well, and you were even talking about, you mentioned your trip to Florida in spring training, and just in that environment, even just the way they would handle or respond to people, I'm sure that carries over from, hey, we were treated this way by somebody else, and that's how it should be.
Being a Pirate fan can be painful, to say the least.
No argument there.
We joked that like spring training, we went last year, we did it again this year, that is our moment to go and just be fans, because hey, everybody's in first place right now.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and so but going in and seeing that, they know that when an opposing team comes to town at PNC Park,
right,
you know, they can be respectful and they can joke, and it's not like we didn't get teased a little bit.
Well,
we got teased a little bit, you know, but at the end of it, and then the one fan really impressed me, because he looked at the boys, he said, you need to thank your mom for taking you here, first of all,
right,
but secondly, don't switch teams.
Yeah.
You know, it be with your team even through the bad.
Yeah.
And so we do that.
They would know, right?
Right.
Yeah,
they would know.
Yeah.
You know, so football, hockey, we're Penguin fans, you know, and now baseball, which is probably the most painful for us. We'll stick with our teams too. But Florida was great, and it did carry over, and that's a whole different atmosphere of sports. I can say that, you know, backyard baseball and just watching people have fun and seeing maybe our up and coming stars, autographs, things that you don't get.
Well, yeah,
you know,
it's more interactive.
It's
down there.
super interactive.
Yeah.
If anybody ever gets a chance to do it, it's well worth it. You know, selfies with players, you don't get that in Pittsburgh.
No. Well, and I've heard the facilities down there in Bradenton are just phenomenal.
Amazing, very historical, which as a baseball fan myself,
Right,
I sort of baseball geeked out a little bit. You know, Lecombe Park's over 100 years old and they've done renovations, but you feel like you're back in time watching baseball, which is really cool.
Give you a little taste of what it might have been like right at Forbes Field.
Exactly.
And
I mean, it's 78-degree weather versus the
well, yeah.
22 or whatever it was here while we were gone. Didn't hurt either.
No, that never hurts. But, well, I know you're kind of on a time constraint here, so we won't take up any more of your time. But Beth, it's been a big year for you already. I'm sure there are more things to come in store. And again, thank you so much for taking some time to talk with us today.
Thank you for having me. This was great. Super fun.
So, and look forward to having you back. Maybe we'll revisit next year, get you some promo for whatever you're going to do for Minute Trout Day. So
that sounds great.
All right. Well, that'll do it for this week's episode of Coffee and a Conversation presented by White Cane Coffee. For Beth Pellegrino, this is Brian Hagberg saying thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and have a great day.
You know what would make that better? A cup of White Cane coffee.
Wow, that really is great coffee.
White Cane coffee, because every cup makes a difference.
Here at Casella, we make temporary dumpster rental easy, offering services that are perfect for construction, remodeling, special events, or other short-term projects. Casella dumpsters are available in a wide range of sizes to fit any job. Our dedicated customer service team will help you choose the right size container and service level for your project and schedule hassle-free removal based on your specific needs. The right size dumpster, when you want it, where you want it, removed when you say so.